You?
Is Jackie's husband or no? I seen the sign for it. I'll borrow your pen.
It is. I can't imagine there's too many.
Yeah. Anecdotes.
What are they called? They're like next to the judge that you all person I have ever met. I was like, oh my God, I have no idea. In last time I was there. As a plaintiff, and he was no idea. They have one day together. Like,
I hope you're right. A lot of the action items are pretty just the budget. And we're only doing first reads on.
You have
Are you Windows 11?
No, you still don't. Okay.
That's what they just no.
Because it's in OneNote, right? I mean, that's where I was looking. Yeah. So 2026. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I thought.
Should be
Let's know something. You should be okay. I didn't see anything on our approval. There, huh?
I don't know. Still there. Maybe. No one ever answers that. The call was called public.
Thanks again for attending that SWAT. Really appreciate that. Probably learned a lot about garbage.
Really interesting presentation.
Yeah. Call to order our regular city council meeting for October 28th. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Roll call. Shelley. Present.
Present.
Is it?
Present.
Present.
Councilmember Nazaro.
Present.
Councilmember Barr.
Present.
Councilmember Post.
Present. Thank you. Cindy, could you do me a favor? Could you grab that sign sheet for me?
It means just the one.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, next up on our agenda is an opportunity for the citizens to comment to our city council. And I do have two folks that have signed up. And the first one is Margot Buckler. Margot, come on up. And as always, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Margot Buckles. My address is 15205 South Golden Eye Lane, Cheney. I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak again. And again, I'm speaking about the comprehensive plan and how it impacts Cheney as well as the proposed co-housing development. I attended the October 23rd West Plains Comprehensive Plan EIS Growth Alternative Community Discussion. Here is what County Planner Scott Chesney told the audience. Medical Lake, Airway Heights, and Cheney representatives attended a meeting with the county planners on the morning of October 23rd. The 10-acre parcel that Cheney Co-Housing wishes to develop was discussed, and Mr. Chesney said that he believed that the county could justify adding the 10 acres to Cheney's UGA because Cheney is set to lose 108 acres designated as UGA land. Those 108 acres will be de-designated. I'd also like to set the record straight. on comments that Councilmember Bartels made at the close of the October 14th meeting. Regarding the traffic study he cited, of which I have a copy here, I believe there are several inaccuracies which you could find in the copy. I'd be happy to share this with any of you, or we can email you a copy. The first paragraph of the study implies that the study was done because the city supported the co-housing development and bringing those 10 acres into the UGA. Throughout the study, the engineers say repeatedly that the co-housing development at Paradise and Normal Park roads will not have a significant impact on traffic in the area. This is despite the fact that the study was done with the assumption that 51 homes would be built on the property, and we are only proposing 30. Finally, I want to point out that the study was done by TO engineers and that Councilmember Bartels was an employee of that company during the time the study was done. And so he should have been aware of the study's conclusions. Mr. Bartels also implied that I am a member of the LLC that owns the property, and as such, I have a financial interest in bringing the property into the UGA. In fact, I have no financial interest in the property. I have a philosophical interest in seeing a co-housing development in Cheney. My daughter and I would like to live in a co-housing development in this town. Finally, if there are any additional comments regarding Cheney co-housing, members of the co-housing group or the property itself in this meeting, I'd request that you reopen public comment to give us an opportunity to provide additional information or clarify any comments that are made. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. Jamie Mauser. As always, please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Jamie Mauser, 2224 Sunrise Drive. I'm here today to follow up on the conversation that Steve Forbes started 2 weeks ago regarding the current level of traffic and inability for drivers to obey the posted 20-mile-per-hour signs on our street. I want to thank Mayor Grover and Mr. Abelman for all the work they have done thus far on the traffic remediation for Sunrise Drive. I live on the corner of Golden Hills and Sunrise with my husband and 3 boys age 2, 4, and 5. We spend majority of our days playing outside and at the park located across the street. During the many times we are outside at different times of the day, I have witnessed a large number of people running the stop sign, speeding through the turn as they come off of Golden Hills, and also speeding in general. We currently have 41 children under the age of 18 that reside on our street, and this is not including the 10 that live on Montague. In addition to those children, we have the presence of those walking to the middle school, high school, and Betts Elementary, utilizing our street for a safe route to school. On Friday, October 24th, roughly 25 minutes prior to both start times, I counted a total of 26 students walking to school using Sunrise Drive, while simultaneously counting 91 cars. Furthermore, we have the park on the corner, which is a gathering place for residents of Golden Hills neighborhood and extends out to those that live in the new development and Eagle Point apartments, bringing even more children and families to Sunrise Drive. I have passed out a sheet of recommendations to hopefully slow down traffic. We know our street is going to be used for students and for commuters. It is not the volume of cars that is our concern. It is the speed at which these people are driving. Something needs to be done to slow down the drivers on Sunrise. We had 62 people sign the petition that was Steve presented 2 weeks ago. And as registered voters and taxpayers, we want a solution. This is our street. This is our home. Our neighbors are more than friends. They are family to us. Please make our street safe.
Thank you, Jamie. That's who signed up, but I do want to offer it up to the crowd if anybody wishes to provide comment to our city council. This is your opportunity. Hi there, please state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Christopher Adams. I live at 1016 Greenfield Drive in the Golden Hills development area. So I have been here before, standing the same spot. When I brought this to your attention before, I was hoping that maybe I would get some sort of communication from the city council, and I haven't heard anything about it. I have provided each of you with a packet of documentation that I've basically been working on for the last 6 months. Our street is eroding. there's at least $250,000 worth of damages to 4 homes, not to mention the other homes in the area that were not in the lawsuit that I had already started with Kutak Rock. Basically, what we're asking for is a little bit of accountability from the developers. That's in the demand letter that I provided each and one of you. 2 of you had said to the Cheney Free Press that you need to hold the developers accountable, and I have not seen anything. I've not heard anything from anybody here, and I'm incredibly frustrated. Most of the people that live on this block are first-time home buyers. We don't have the financial means to start a class action lawsuit against a massive developer like this. We feel like our hands are completely tied, and I've got no help from the city council or the mayor whatsoever. I know that you guys want to help your citizens, right? You want to make sure that people are living in homes that aren't falling apart. We have foundations cracking, we have drywall cracking, we have houses moving, and nothing has been done. That's why I started this lawsuit, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm taking my own actions because I have absolutely no faith in this council or you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else? How about those joining us via Zoom? Any hands raised? Okay, going once, going twice. Anybody? Okay, we will move on. Thank you for those that have provided comments. Next on the agenda is our October 14th regular city council meeting minutes. Had an opportunity to review those. If there's no corrections, I'd accept a motion to approve those. Any corrections? No?
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve our October 14th meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Our minutes are approved. Moving on to vouchers, Cindy.
Total vouchers, $948,930.59.
Honor, the finance committee reviewed these items. I would move approval.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve the vouchers as presented. Any questions for Cindy? If there's none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Okay, thank you, Cindy. Our vouchers are approved. You can see the small contracts there that I approved by myself. We don't have any information items or appointments, but we do have several action items. So I'm gonna kick off the 2026 budget hearing, and this is to present property taxes. So go ahead, Cindy. We've got several items on the list regarding our 2026 budget. So.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a little bit of a refresh on what we're doing. So this is the first of our public hearings where we will hear information on our taxes, on our general revenues. You're going to hear department presentations from everyone that is governmental. So remember, we have government funds, which are police, fire, court, parks and recreation, and we have enterprise funds, light, water, sewer, garbage. We're not going to hear about any of the light, water, sewer, garbage tonight. Those are all totally enterprise funds, but you are going to hear from everyone that is governmental this evening. So to start off, let me think. So we're here, next week we'll hear from them. The last council meeting in November, we've left that open for discussion. We know that has been a request over time that there's some time to discuss the budget as it is. So the budget that's being presented to you is a balanced budget. It is the mayor's budget. So he has gone through and he has spoken with the department heads. We have balanced the budget, and that is what is being presented you as the city council to look at. We would then bring the first budget ordinance, probably reading that last meeting in November, but that's just the first reading. That doesn't mean that can't be changed. And then we would bring the budget for passage on December 9th, along with the compensation ordinance and some of our other year-end things that we're doing. So I'll kick it off tonight. I'll get started with a few of these presentations, and then we will end. And please, if there's any questions, please ask. For myself, for Todd, for all the department heads, we are very happy to explain what's going on. We have to explain the numbers we've come up with and the progress we see our departments making. And we are anxious to be able to share that with you. But first, we're going to look at our tax levies. And I'm right here. I can just go this way. Oh, wow, looky there. All right. All right, so we have our public tax. I kind of go through this. This is a very similar presentation than what you have from year to year. We're going to look at our property taxes that we have. So we have 4 different things. We have our general levy. That general levy has, by law, is allowed to be increased by 1% over last year's levy. That can be increased by 1% annually. We have our levy lift that we all know can go up by 6%. That is voter approved. It's a 6-year levy and it increases by 6% every year. We have our EMS levy. That is a 50 cent per $1,000 of assessed valuation. That is a 6-year levy. And now we also have our general obligation levy, which is how we're paying for our aquatic center. Trying to figure out how to make this kind of half and half, but we'll just go this way. So this just kind of goes over, this is the levy lift. The proposed levy for the levy lift is a little over $1.3 million. That goes towards total public safety, as you all recall. Police and fire both have footprints in that. Historically on our levy lift, and I don't know, Shelley, if we can make this so it, or am I doing something wrong here? I'm trying to go the whole page. Is there something I can, thank you, right there, perfect. So over time, so this is our second levy lift that we had. So we had our first one, this is our second. Over time, we have levied over $6 million and that's all gone into public safety. And when you think about that, that's an amazing amount of money that we've been able to give to public safety to do the very important work that they do. This goes by police and fire as far as what they have used annually in each of those years. And it just kind of goes that breakdown. I'm not going to go through all of that with you. You all have that and it's on our agenda. And I think people can look at that if they would like to. And then it just goes here as to what those levies are. Breaks it down this way. Additionally, by what page 7, yep, this, thank you. Goes by just kind of what they've been used for. And the reason I'm doing so much of the levy lift is I promised you I would do that when that was voted, that we would kind of have a report during the budget cycle. Our proposed levy for this year. Now we get into our assessed valuation. Our assessed valuation rebounded this year a little bit. As you recall, we went down last year. And we thought after talking to the county, that was right sizing of that really big, almost 36% increase we had that we saw in 2023. So it went down in 2025, it rebounded a little this year. And it goes to show you that that's our direction over time. That's about a 9.12 overall growth in our assessed valuation. And here's our rates. So this just looking at 24 and 25. I can't put 2026 up because I don't know what the county, what the school districts, I don't know what they're going to be levying. I just like to show you a history of kind of where we are. And especially now that the general obligation bond is in play. So it shows that in 2025, total for the city was 371, but total for our taxpayers was $10.99. Yes. I'm going to go to our, and then this is just the percentage of what our levy is. So in 2025, the city, about 34% of the total tax burden came to the city. The rest went elsewhere of our citizens. Our 2026 proposed tax levy, that $3.4 million is a combination of the levy lift plus the regular levy. That comes out to about 2.89 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. Then I break that out. 62% of that is regular and 38 is levy lift. Our EMS tax levy is 50 cents per 1,000. We are in year 2 of that EMS levy, a little over $600,000. The aquatic center is our bond. And so that will be about 49 cents this year per 1,000. As you recall, when that went out to the vote of the people, we were going to try really hard to keep that under 53. And the fact that we were able to sell our bonds for such a great interest rate is the only reason we were able to do that. So that's really promising. That's going to help as these are paid off. And that's our tax levy. There will be an ordinance for the EMS levy and an ordinance for the regular levy for first read only later on in the meeting. But I'm happy to answer any questions we have now.
Thanks, Cindy. Any questions for Cindy on some of our revenues? Yes, please.
The Aquatic Center general obligation bonds, those were all sold at AA plus
They were.
rating. Thank you.
They were. Which is a huge credit to the city council for the work that we were able to do with our operating reserves and our financial management. That all came out in that AA plus. That was a big kudo to the city.
Yeah, huge. Thanks for that question. Anybody else?
Yeah, Cindy, real quick.
Yeah.
The assessed evaluation on, I think it's slide 9.
Yep.
Can you explain that difference between 2025 and 2026 again?
Well, back there.
Yeah.
So the 2025, it went down. Our assessed valuation there, we just saw a decrease.
Okay.
So when they put out everyone's assessments in the city, they went down, and which caused me to call the county and say, what's happening? You know, why are our assessments going down? And the answer was, well, we really don't have an answer, but probably it's because the 36% increase that happened in 2023, people were appealing, and there might've been some right sizing because of that. And then that caught us down, and now we're on the upwards track again.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So when we do taxes, when I talked about that 1%, so you take last year's levy and you add 1%, and then that's what you're allowed to levy. And then the new construction piece comes in underneath that. So we take this 1% allowable new construction, and then that's the levy that we're able to levy for both the regular levy and the levy lift. That's kind of how the math works.
Okay.
And that's all based on the county assessor, right?
Yes, that's all on the county assessor. And I work closely with the assessor as far as these levies to make sure that we have the correct amount, that we would never want to levy the wrong amount. So yeah, we go back and forth quite a bit during this season.
Good questions. Any other questions? This is a public hearing, so I do want to offer it up to, yes, go ahead, Steve.
Just a minute. You can find that on, do you have the agenda? Do you have the agenda up? So if you go to the agenda, pardon me. This is the administration's, I'm going to agenda. Why don't I do this? Can I, it's not pulling up on mobile? Okay, as soon as I sit down, I'll look into that. Absolutely. Interesting. It's supposed to. So, that being said, if you don't have it, if you want to, I will put out a piece of paper. If you're interested, you can leave me your email address. I'll be happy to email them to you. Not a problem. I see I have 2 people working on that right now.
Anybody else wish to comment on our property tax levy? Anybody online wish to comment or ask a question? Going once, going twice. Anybody on council? Last call. Okay, I will close the public hearing for our 2026 general budget for property tax and EMS and levies. Now we're going to go into another one. I'm going to open up another public hearing to discuss governmental revenues and projections for 2026. Cindy, please.
Absolutely. So this, I've changed this one up a bit from previous years. So as soon as we get there, she'll get there. Yep, thank you. This is just an example. Remember the things that are governmental that we pay for. We pay for streets, we pay for pools, we pay for everything on this list. Police, fire, IT, administration, courts, building, planning, all of that comes in this governmental world. Now, one thing that we're trying really to work on this year, and Todd and I have had many conversations about this, is trying to isolate the restricted revenues we get, the revenues that we get for something very specific. A good example is the EW fire contract. We get that contract in total support of the fire department. So I'm not going to put that in general revenues that would be available to fund anything that's governmental. So that's going to be isolated on its own. So you'll see me talking about dedicated and not dedicated revenues here. And that's what I'm talking about, is revenues that are just general revenues that we can allocate for whatever purpose, or these dedicated revenues that are for a very specific purpose. And I think that's important to remember.
Cindy, real quick. We're not finding that
It's not in the
It's not in
on
the
the agenda.
agenda.
Okay,
It's in the
It's
agenda.
listed. It's just not
This
popping
is
up
not
with.
popping up.
okay. Would you just email it to city council,
Okay,
please?
thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. You know, I'm having an IT kind of a day today.
Uh.
Not great. IT Cindy gets tired of being IT
No.
Cindy.
I love the presentation, but my eyes don't. So
Well, I apologize.
that's okay.
So she'll email it, but I'll kind of get started and we can go back.
Okay,
if you
sounds
like.
good.
So our total governmental revenue budget is a little over 26 million, and that includes all the money that we're going to carry over from 25 into 26. It includes all the revenue that comes in that's both dedicated and undedicated. So it's a big chunk of money. It includes things like all of our REIT funds. It includes big funds like Parks and Recreation that we're not going to use on anything else. So it includes everything here. I'm going to pare that down to just our general stuff, but I just wanted you to see the whole thing. So here's the general fund revenue, perhaps. Thank you. So the general fund piece of this, and it's broken up as you get, and you can go look at it. What's taxes, what's carryover, what's fines, what's charges for services. Obviously, our major revenue sources are taxes being property, sales, and utility taxes. That's what those are. So I always like to give you a look of our 2025 budget, where we are to date and what we're looking for 2026. This is the general fund only, and it goes by those same categories, just giving you numbers this time. So our 2026 budget for all of our taxes is almost $7.5 million. So looking at property, so this is our property taxes. We just looked at this. On the left here is the general property taxes, then levy lift, EMS levy, and general obligation. The yellow is our 2025, the rust color is where we are, and the brown is what the budget is for next year. Sales tax. So that's just the basic general sales tax they receive on the left. Brokered natural gas tax. We talked a little bit about that. Remember that not all the natural gas tax we get is a result of me having natural gas in my home. This is the brokered tax that Eastern gets. And so they buy theirs on the open market and it comes in a different way. The last two, so then sales tax, public safety, that goes into our criminal justice fund. And that is used primarily by our police department and our courts. And then the lodging tax is on the right. It looks little, but that is also considered a sales tax. Utility taxes. So our utility tax, remember, is 14.75%. 6% of that is on electric and natural gas sales. I'm sorry, electric sales. 4% it goes into our residential street fund to be used for residential street purposes for the construction and the preservation stuff that Todd's group does. And then of course the 4.75 goes directly into our Parks and Recreation Fund to support Parks and Recreation activities. State shared revenues. This is a general revenue that we use in allocating across the general fund. These are the categories that we get those from. City assistance is a result of, well, I show my age when I talk about I-695 when that happened, and we lost some state funding from there. So this is money that the state gets back to us to kind of help recoup that sales tax equalization that we used to get. We get marijuana excise tax, liquor excise, liquor profit. The final two on the right go into the street fund. Motor vehicle fuel tax, that's our gas tax. And this multimodal fuel tax that is our gas tax as well. What we have been noticing over the years is that the gas tax is actually, going down. It's not nearly as robust as it used to be. And it's not the price of gas, it's the gallons of gas that we receive gas tax on. So, I mean, they still get a nice chunk of money, and that does go for street operations. It just isn't what it once was. So here's our dedicated and restricted revenues. So, and what they pay for. So we look at all these revenues, we look at everything that's coming over, available cash, we look at these general revenues that we can allocate, and this is what they're paying for. So when you look at administration,
Their total budget, 681.7. They have dedicated revenues of 240,000, which means $441,300 needs to be funded by general revenues. And you can see that going down the list. You come down to, I'm just looking for my finance, $688,000. Fire, $789,000. The big one is police, is, $3.7 million. They don't sell a widget. They don't have any necessarily dedicated revenues that come in. And so they take a lot of just general revenues to police our city.
Cindy,
Yeah.
I mean, this might be too complicated, but
Yeah.
where does each of the dedicated revenues come from?
So, I kind of alluded to that a little. So administration, legal, finance, city council, those are from cost allocations that we charge light, water, sewer, garbage for our services.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. Building and planning, they get theirs from building permits and planning fees.
Okay.
Municipal court, therapeutic court grant and fines that from people that get to have a meet and greet with our police, and then they get a ticket and then they have to pay a fine. That's what that's from. The police and fire. So fire has the fire contract from Eastern, and then police and fire both have the levy lift that I talked about. That's what those monies are for, because those are dedicated to them. And that's where all those come from.
Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And this is just the use, because I really like pie graphs and I like percentages, but you just kind of see where that gets used from. That big one on the right is police, and that's not surprising given that they had the biggest usage of the general revenues in the previous slide. This is just a recap again of the levy lift just for police and fire, since that's where that comes from. Keep going, Shelley. Thank you. So, and then this just kind of goes where those undedicated revenues, where we receive them from. Our regular property taxes, sales tax, utility tax, telephone tax, all these add up to that about 6.7. And we can use those to fund all those general fund departments. So that brings me to this. I know it's hard to read and I apologize for that, but I wanted to give you a look forward, because the delta that we're seeing in using these dedicated revenues, if we have revenues that are only going up this far, but we have expenses that are going up this far, this delta is getting bigger. And as you look, I have 5 and 6 there, but 7, 8, 9, and to 2030, that gets large. If we're on the same, I just took a basic, I think 4% increase on these revenues, and I took in some departments 4 and in some departments 8, depending on their labor contracts, what that might look like for those departments. And that does go to show that, there's going to have to be something that changes in the general fund, because it's just not going to be able to manage the way it currently does in future years. And I think it's something for you all to be aware of and you all to have consideration as you're looking at the general fund. And I wanted to make sure you knew that. But that's our governmental revenues. Sorry to end on that note, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks for Cindy. And we'll make sure these are all up for everybody on our website.
Yeah. Yes.
Not sure why that wasn't popping up, but
I don't know either. Again.
Questions from the council?
I just had a question. If you could reiterate, I may have missed it, what in property taxes, what the general obligation portion is?
Is our general obligation bond is paying for our aquatic center.
That's the aquatic
yes.
center. Okay, thank you.
That's a 25-year bond, and now I think, well, we paid a year, so we have 24 left.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Anything else? How about in the crowd? Anybody have a comment or question? Anybody online wish to comment or question? Yes. Yeah, we'll get that out to everybody. Yeah, that was a technological error there. Go ahead, Mark.
I just have a quick comment, just having really over the past week looking over all this information. This form that Cindy did, future budget year estimates, that is it's really crystal clear.
Yes.
It's the 226 budget, here's our revenues, and she lists them. Here's our total estimated revenues, and here's the expenditures, she lists them, and here's the total expenditures, estimated expenditures. After looking over all the budgets, it'd be really helpful if each department did a form this easy.
I think you'll see something like that in a lot of the budgets today.
Okay, great. Okay, that'd be good. Because this form is just like you could just look at it and go, oh, okay, great. Got it.
Good. I'm glad that's hopeful.
Yeah,
sure. Anybody else? It all boils down to either increase revenues, decrease expenses, or a little of both.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at. So. Okay, well, if there's no other comments or questions, I'll go ahead and close that public hearing, and we'll move on to another public hearing. And this is.
And I'll say, I'm going to put all this, please give me your email address. Happy to do that first. I'm updating the agenda. Okay, so it should be.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the next public hearing, and this is the presentation of just our general government funds. And I'm going to introduce Dave Lucas, our court administrator, and in tow there is Judge Leland. Thank you for being here, Judge.
So good evening, Mayor, City Council, citizens. Thank you for having us here today. We're very excited about this opportunity. We tried to restructure this based on some of the guidance to really focus on the strategic overview of operations versus the individual categories of spending. So as we go through that, the first slide really just is our mission statement that's on our site. It's also in the initial set of packages that you received. But in general, really, we are going to provide access to the courts and justice for the citizens and process all the administrative paperwork that are associated to that. So talks about that in general, but we'll go ahead and go on to the next slide. So kind of a bottom line up front. And I know there's a lot of discussion of where we kind of fall out when it's said and done at the general fund. So the portion that the court draws when we take out the receipts, basically the income that comes into the court between the various grants, which provides significant offset to our costs. Between the therapeutic court grant, we also received several from AOC and other areas with regard to pretrial services. We received the Washington Foundation grant, which you all approved for the security system, as well as we received a public defense grant to support that category, which doesn't really go into our operating expenses, but we do receive that to help offset that. So the total cost that ends up costing out of the general fund is $185,300. So that's the impact that we draw out of the general fund when we offset what the court receives versus what the court costs at the end of the day. Really, there was no significant change this year. In fact, the overall operating costs went down just a hair due to when there were some individual categories that went up based on increased expenses in that category, but overall went down in general. So we didn't really have any addition to that. And we knew that it was going to be a very tough budget season. So as the judge and I talked, as we were kind of putting this together, we were very conscientious not to ask for any additional nice to haves that would be great to help improve operations or improve cleaning things up. So we kept that very small. Really, the most significant item that was a change was the end of the medical lake contract, which I've talked about before. But really, at the end of the day, the money isn't as significant as the impact that will be, as we will now have to provide our own internal court security, which we haven't done in the past. And we certainly lack kind of the capacity to draw that from the police department. So that's one of the things we'll have to work through leading up into the next year. Really highlighting some of the accomplishments. Really the biggest thing, and one of the things I've really taken on since I've gotten here, is really working on modernization and really automating some of the court functions, which provides a lot of benefits, not only for the court and the city, but also the citizens. Even simple things like automating tickets, which allows them to pay online, doesn't require somebody to come in. Being able to now, the new system has an automatic public records storage capacity. So soon, which it was supposed to be October 7th, but the rollout has been delayed, citizens will be able to access court documents automatically without necessarily having to file a public records request, get those sent back to them. So really trying to work on some of those things. We also had very great success with grants. Again, worked really hard on that. We are still working on other grant opportunities even as we speak, looking at potentially a Department of Transportation grant
for our SCRAM, our alcohol monitoring system. We're working with Spokane County on the mental health sales tax. So we're still working on other aspects regularly as we roll along to continue to find what we can do to offset costs on a regular basis. And then certainly as we look at what are some of the risks, you know, what if I was sitting there, what are some of the concerns I would have, the what ifs, and really, I think we'll talk more about that. I think the judge has some specific thoughts on that, but really the value of automation is great. The risk of automation is it puts us in a bind a little bit. And we saw that in November of last year when the entire state's court system was shut down due to a hack. We still have an ability to operate by paper, but then we're back to the same things. If somebody wants to pay a ticket, they got to come to the window and it has to be a cash or check. We're going to be able to still do court hearings. People are going to still have access to the court and access to justice. But again, it will be a paper process and nobody else in the state will be able to see that. So no other organization, none of our criminal justice partners will be able to see that because it's not entered into any system. So those are some of the risks with that. We are a very small staff. There are no redundancies built into the court personnel staff. So anybody that were to leave or come creates a significant strain. And obviously we've got to swing to adjust that. Certainly there is outside support that we receive from the lawyers and specifically, you know, the public defender and the prosecutor. So those are a risk. Jail costs are continuing to go up. So we will continue to see that. And then as we mentioned, and Cindy's talked about and different folks, we've talked in different venues, the therapeutic court grant is a significant benefit to the court and allows us to offset many grants. The court policy is 20%. So even simple things like our copy machine, which we have to have, we are able to offset 20% of those costs to the therapeutic court and allow the state to pay for that, which we would not be able to do otherwise. Any questions really on that before I move forward? Really, one of the things that I've tried to highlight is really what does the court provide value added? As I mentioned, and as we started, we are going to provide access to the courts. We're going to provide access to justice. And we're going to process all those admin processes. But what else can we do while we're here? Because all of us and the staff are here 5 days a week. Things that we've talked about before, being able to provide the food basket program, being able to provide other access to folks. Because when someone comes to the court, not only for the processing of the 2,500 cases average a year, but they see us as the center of governance. So people come and ask for things that we don't do, marriage certificates. So we assist with getting them to the right place, providing them directions. People have come in to ask access, help with job applications. Again, not generically a court function, but again, we're here. We have electronic assets similar to the library, and we have some very well-educated people that are able to access with that. So really one of those things we really try to see is how we can help with those value-added items. Another value item really is, as I mentioned, the offset of the costs. So probably more than half of our budget, about $419,000, we were able to bring in through different aspects that help offset the cost of running the court. And then really, what are some of the goals and opportunities that we have? Really, again, want to be a good partner to the citizens, a partner to the city. We're working with EWU on some outreach programs, looking at how we can partner better. We had a great success this last year with interns, and I would like to expand that because I think it really is a huge benefit, not only for the students, but us. We've made contact with the university's student court and looking at what type of partnership and instruction we can offer and some type of receptions and things that we're able to do with them. Expand the therapeutic court. As I mentioned, we're looking at other, I don't necessarily, funding stream is the right word, but other opportunities where we can have partnerships and additional funding that basically offset some of those costs and provide added resources and added benefits to the citizens. And we've seen great success with the therapeutic court. It is an incredibly moving to see the progress that some of the citizens have made from being in a position where they were really struggling to really very successful, somebody you'd really enjoy sitting down and having a conversation with or having a cup of coffee and hearing what they're working on now. So really looking at what we can do with that. As I mentioned, trying to increase our community engagement and seeing what we can do with that. So really that's a kind of move. I wanted to try to keep this as short and leave as much time for questions. There are extensive backup slides that cover each of these in different graphs, different percentages over the years, number of cases, cost over the years. But I didn't want to necessarily get bogged or focus on that, but really open it up for discussion or any questions that you may have. Do you want to do anything
Thanks,
before we
Dave.
start that, Joe? Do you want any questions?
Yeah, no, I'll just a few brief comments. Mayor, council,
Yes.
and citizens of Cheney, just want to thank you for all your support, our partners, especially the police and everything. I think Dave took all my thunder. Great job. He is a key employee. We can't lose Dave. We have others that are key. This therapeutic funding is huge. Jail costs at $200 per in-custody person is huge. But those are the things that, like I mentioned last year and years before, those are the kind of things that keep me up at night. But I think we're doing a good job. We're processing a lot of cases, and we're looking forward to connecting with more partners, Eastern Washington and others. If you want to connect to the district court, take a little bit of Cindy's. You can sign up for district court connection. Your name, phone number, email. One of the things we would invite you to is come to district court, or actually municipal court, on the first and third Thursdays of every month. Come and see us. See if we're good or not. I think you'll see that we are very good. And then we have a quarterly meeting every quarter that ties into the therapeutic court. I know the judge was, or not the judge, but that's where I sit. The mayor was present. I think he was impressed with that. And yeah, it was great having you, Mayor.
No, it was.
We need to have the city council here as well. So,
Well, Judge, it was a moving experience, and I invite anybody
Yeah, I mean, if you ever
to come to a therapeutic court graduation. It's absolutely amazing to see the transformation from somebody getting in trouble for whatever reason to where they end up going through the therapeutic court process. So thank you, Judge and Dave, for that. It's a great program.
A specialty court that's an offshoot of the district court, and we are able to, through these grants, put a lot of resources into these people. All these folks, unfortunately, have issues with regard to some of their core things. Could be not having a job, not having transportation, not having a home, not having some of the things we're so blessed with. So we try to work through them. It's a lot of one-on-one, but the object is to keep them from coming through the system, having them hopefully pay taxes and be in the wagon, or be out of the wagon instead of in the wagon. Help us pull the wagon.
As the judge mentioned, it is really exciting to see the success that somebody is able to find when a team spends time with them. Many of these folks show up and really have never had, or have had little, of somebody who's willing to sit down and both provide them positive reinforcement of what are opportunities and, hey, let's lay out a plan how we can find success, but also providing guidelines of saying, this is the conduct that we expect, and when you violate or you move off of that conduct, these are the consequences. And so the return and what we see on these folks when they're able to get through this program is just amazing. They are just wonderful individuals. And again, the best of them gets to come out, really, whether it's finding school or relicensing. I mean, again, they basically really become a great citizen. And so it's a great program if you would like to come find out more. Again, I was speaking the other day at Eastern about it, and they were excited. We're going to do some presentations and discussions with them on it. So, what other questions do you have? Any specific questions that I can answer? Yes, I'm curious.
Any questions from council? Go ahead, Paul.
Just real quick on public defender, who's doing the assessment as to a defendant that would be assigned a public defender?
So we have a worksheet, and so we use.
You're doing that in.
Yeah, so we have a system that actually integrates into the state. It's called the benefit verification system, and it is the easiest way because we don't have to do any math. It basically shows that they are receiving state assistance. They're on a state assistance program. Otherwise, then what we have to do is collect what you would do just like if you went into somebody to get evaluated for like a loan. We've got to collect all their income information, their expenses, what are they doing, and then we basically kind of put together and determine where they fall on the poverty scale and whether they would meet the requirements for indigent.
When we say we, does that fall on you, Dave?
A lot of it does.
Okay.
Not solely. We do get I have a very good team and they do great work.
Yeah,
but,
no, I understand.
But yes, a lot of it is doing
That's a key component that a lot of people don't understand is everyone has a right to defense attorney.
We're about 80%.
Is it 80?
We're roughly about 80%, give or take.
80% are
It varies.
qualified for public defense.
It's a very low barrier, to be honest.
Yeah, all right.
And we can talk about it in more detail if you want. Yeah, the one question I really had that I thought if I was to try to think of what would be a question would be what happens if the grants start to go away? Because as we mentioned, that's a significant chunk. And I would lay them there in different kind of layers, but obviously the therapeutic court is the largest. They operate on a July to June, which is a huge benefit because we would have time to know, we would find out. So our budget's already been taken care of. We would find out in June for the next year, which would allow us time to for those folks to find alternate employment and us to kind of wind that down. It would be a loss because it would be difficult to manage that program with the folks that we have. But we could certainly look at other things. We are also looking at trying to, as I mentioned, other funding streams that would basically fill in that to avoid that. The public defender fee would again just require us to essentially readdress with our public defender the fact that we're losing this income. It would also impact the challenge of hiring those. We struggled earlier trying to get a conflict attorney, and I mentioned that when I came before you to change that bill. So as these different grants would trigger, we do have plans or means to continue operation. It just becomes more challenging as we look at those. Some of the as I mentioned, pretrial service training grants, that's a training opportunity we'd lose for the team, and we would have to either figure out, prioritize where we would come up with if we felt they needed to get that training. So that's kind of one of the big, what ifs out there, I think. We talked a little bit about electronics, and I don't know if there's
one thing that was brought up with the public defender and the prosecutor. They're not part of the staff, but they're part of the team, so to speak. The mayor and someone has done a great job of selecting those folks. But the dynamics in a small court, if you get the wrong dynamics, it can be very, very interesting and challenging. So hopefully we've got a team now that will stay together, but who knows? They are out doing their lawyer thing, getting more experience, and a lot of them eventually move on. So that's a big issue. And I would say it's probably even more than 80% public defender. But that I work actually down at the district court every day, and it's even higher than that. It's a very low bar, as Dave has said. But Dave is doing a tremendous job. And I'm very proud of, especially what he's doing with regard to these grants and getting revenue and forming relationships with the people that are granting these grants. Tremendous. We're challenging a little bit, or we're encouraging the county to possibly give us a little bit of the mental health monies that come in that are given by each of the citizens here a little bit each month. So we're doing what we can, but it's a tough environment, and we just look forward to continuing to serve not only you folks, but our good citizens. Yeah, come out and visit. Please. We're really proud of what we're doing, and not a big deal. You can sit here. We won't embarrass you. We won't call on you. They call on the mayor. We called on the mayor at the city council or at the community court meeting, and he did a tremendous job. Got some photos of the mayor, and
That was my pleasure.
It was really,
my pleasure.
It was really important for the community court people to have the mayor here and have those made it very special
For me as well.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to serve and opportunity to serve the citizens.
Any questions here? It is a public meeting, or a public hearing, so I'm gonna open it up if anybody has any direct questions for Dave or Judge Leland. Anybody online? Okay, thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Thank you, Judge, for being here. Next up is our Parks and Recreation budget. Mr. Dan Curley, our Parks and Rec Director. Thank you, Dan.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Council. Okay, so I started in mid-August, and so this is a pretty conservative budget. Looks a lot like the 2025 budget with some updates for 2026 projections. One fund that looks a lot different this year that we'll talk about in a few minutes is the Aquatic Center budget. Last year, it looked one way, going into 2026, it's gonna look a little different. Page 2 here, what do we do? I'm not going to go into all of what we do. I think you guys get the gist of it, but a couple things I wanted to point out for the 2026 budget is that we are projecting to hire 99 part-time employees. And that doesn't include like youth sports referees and contract workers. And so it's really a privilege for us to be able to work with that many EWU and high school students and help a lot of them get like some of their first job experience. It's really pretty neat to be a part of. Our ECHO is our before and after school program. It's a really great service we provide to the community. It's affordable, top-notch employees with the college kids. Our summer camp program, Camp Caslo, same thing, just top-notch, affordable childcare. Our youth sports programs, this year we had roughly 800 kids come through, and really glad to be able to touch that many community members. And the last one I'll touch on for this is our ABC preschool is another just amazing childcare service that we provide to the community. We've had our childcare director there for over 10 years, and she does a great job. If you ever want to smile, come down and see these little 3- and 4-year-olds running around at the Grand Pearson Community Center. So this will kind of mostly focusing on for this. If I can go down, there we go. Oops. Kind of in between. Okay, for the challenges, this is just the challenges of trying to stretch our resources to accommodate all the goals that we have here. The first general challenge we have is, we need to increase our revenues. In doing that, a way where we're balancing that with the programming for low-income households in our community. And so as we increase fees and do that, we have to really strike a fine balance there. Park restroom maintenance. Of our 7 restrooms, 6 of them are really old. And one of our goals as a department, we'll cover this more on the last slide, but is really to try to offer the citizens a good looking, park restrooms when they go. But it's really challenging because these things are old and we're doing the best we can. And we'll really focus on that. Vandalism is really kind of a demoralizing loop that strains our resources, and it takes us away from doing other things. And so that's something that we'll continue to address. Plumbing repair and maintenance, that'll be a part of our 2026 budget, trying to work on repairing like drinking fountains, faucets, toilets, all those things, and we'll definitely address that as we can. Limited staffing, which is a reflection of the bottom right-hand corner. You can see our parks facility maintenance staff is 1 full-time employee and several part-time employees that pinch hit. They do a great job helping us out, but they're also helping out the water department and Public Works Department doing various things. And so with that being said, when you go down to the park facility maintenance, I won't read off all of the different things that they're trying to address, but you can see that there's quite a few park structures that we want to keep in good condition with limited resources. I will, since Steve's here, I'll talk about tennis. We're going to really focus on tennis next year. No, that is one of the things that we noticed. At tennis courts, that does take a lot more maintenance than we were aware of. And so and we're seeing increased activity. So we want to focus on that. Our play fields, we have great community partners. West Plains Little League, we have the Cheney Storm and other associations and they're bringing people into town from Sandpoint, all these different places. We really want to make our ball fields, look as good as possible and showcase our resources there. The dog park is not something I think we originally intended to have in our maintenance portfolio, but we really want to, do the best we can with that. It's kind of a challenge. It's 2 acres and it takes a different mower. It's a Ventrac mower. And so, but we're committed to trying to improve the image of the dog park next year too. Irrigation and maintenance, that's a huge challenge. There's lots of sprinkler systems throughout our various parks and open spaces. And we have 1 person that does that, and it's time consuming and it's costly. And so as in our 2026 budget, we're kind of splicing old stuff with new stuff, and we'll continue to hopefully just continue to upgrade those. Ren Pearson Community Center, one of the cool things, we have a lot of amazing community partners that utilize our building, lots of good stuff going on, but we are responsible for the downstairs operations as well as far as our maintenance budget goes. So I think one of the biggest wild card in our budget is our Cheney Aquatic Center operating costs. And the priceless question is, what is our cost recovery goal as a department and city? And so like Spokane County, their goal is to recover 50 to 55% of their operating costs. In this budget, we have 59% cost recovery going into next year. And that's with $45,000 of fundraising money being injected into our operating costs or into our operating revenue. The lifeguard staffing requirements, we have we're of our 440,000 projected expenses next year, 70% of it, 305,000 of it goes almost directly to lifeguard costs. We submitted a plan to Washington State Department of Health and the Spokane Regional Health District. And so like those requirements of having a certain amount of lifeguard coverages, there's not a ton we can do about it, but we will do our best to maintain safety and be creative with those costs. But those are pretty big costs that we'll be dealing with. And by the way, all of these projections for the aquatic center are still kind of a guess because we didn't have a full season last year. And so hopefully this year we just knock it out and some of these are mitigated. In this budget, we don't have a specialized facility maintenance staff, but going forward, we really need to look at how we fund that with this really high-tech building with these pumps and electronics, like specialty maintenance beyond what our current staff probably is capable of, and how do we fund that? Thank you to Cindy. We're able to roll over 78,000 into our pool operations reserve for next year, and we'll have some fundraising revenue that is going to feed that a little bit. But going forward, we need to figure out how to have some city generated funds going into that rainy day account for rainy day activity. So I won't talk about capital budget because there's not a lot of activity in the 2026 budget. The Parks and Recreation budget, you probably can't see it up in the top right corner, but just some things that not able to fully fund the 25% restricted operating reserve next year, nor fund the 10% capital maintenance reserve. Our dedicated taxes and our recreation program fees are not keeping pace with expenditures next year. Just a little bit of a breakdown on our general operating revenue. Of that 853,000, 700,000 of that is from taxes. 122,000 of that is from recreation program fees that are not listed in the summary. And of that 122,000, almost half of that comes from our preschool program. But if you go down the list of our expenditures here and our credits, administrative costs take up a big chunk. Aquatics, we have $180,000 projected delta next year. And we do a great job with childcare. We need to improve that. And youth sports, Ren Pearson Community Center, we don't get enough rental revenue to offset our costs. And so the net impact is a negative 365,000, which is roughly half of our beginning cash balance. So last page, this is the brighter note though. This is our 2026 goals. So next year we are going to be focusing on updating our comprehensive plan. We'll be engaging the community to see what the community wants us to fund. That'll be in our capital facility plan and help us focus on how do we want to dedicate our resources. And that'll allow us to apply for grants like Washington State RCO and other grants. And this is an RCO funding year, so we could apply for that if that makes sense. One of our supplemental budget requests is Cheney Aquatic Center Phase 2 pickleball and tennis court upgrade project, which is going to be really cool if we can make it work. We're asking for money out of the real estate excise tax to build 4 new pickleball courts, rehab our tennis courts, and hopefully upgrade the lighting to LED lighting and do some other things there. And so that's something we'd be, right next to the Cheney Aquatic Center, really will put an emphasis on that area there. Again, one of our other supplemental requests is to replace the picnic shelter out of park capital money for Hagelin Park. Our goal is to add 80 kids to youth sports next year. And we're working with the school district and internally on our before and after school care and child care to increase the amount of kids we can serve. And we have some things that will hopefully really generate revenue and add some additional aid for families. We'll continue to work with fundraising and looking for grants and other revenue opportunities. Our last supplemental budget request is to utilize some city beautification dollars, $7,500 to convert some of our pocket parks and mow strips into dryscape, which will be a good modeling of conservation and also reduce some of our our labor constraints. And then, again, the Cheney Aquatic Center is such an amazing asset. We had in 43 days of operation, we had over 21,000 visits during during the open swim time. That doesn't include like swim lessons classes. So this year with the 68-day season or more, we hope to really just build on that and bring as many people as we can in the city and then do some activities that'll help them stay here once they get here and food, other things like that. So in closing, really our goal is to be as efficient with our resources as possible next year and really try to be good stewards of the program we have. So that.
Thanks, Dan. Good presentation. Any questions for Dan? Go ahead, Dan.
I had a couple questions, just on the pool. I know we don't have final numbers, or do we have final numbers from this year, even though it wasn't a full season, I guess?
As far as
like operating costs and all of that.
Yeah. So Cindy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that we had like 60% of our open days were done through sponsorships. I think we brought in $78,000 in sponsorships. We had, and some of those included for swim lessons. And then we had, I think, around $68,000 in ticket sales. We had right around $230,000 of cost. We were upside down by 100,000. I can't remember what our cost recovery was, but given the fact that we weren't able to, like, what we did was, hey, we're open on Monday. Because we never knew so we didn't have any like advanced ticket sales for passes and the 10-day passes. So we kind of started with one hand tied behind our back, but sorry that didn't explicitly answer your question.
I have that information for you.
Go ahead.
So he's right. So the net was a negative $112,000. They brought in $176,634 in revenues and donations, and they spent $289,517. Now remember that though was all that set up too. That include like computers for the pool, for when you walk in. I mean, that included a lot of that setup fee. So
one-time costs. Yeah.
And then my only other question just in regards to the aquatic center is, are the projections based on the current rate that's being charged?
Yeah. So
for this past year. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. So based off the model we have right now, it would be based off of basically average daily rate that we saw last year, building off that, and then basically the same rates as we have, and but then it's adding a bunch of different categories like season passes, family passes, things like that are going to be really challenging for us to manage, but it's sort of a volume thing. We hope we can get lots of people purchasing in bigger quantities.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a quick one. What's the plan for that net for the programs? Where does that come from? Where do we get that?
Well, I think it comes out of our general cash balance.
So his total net of that's
yeah.
Balance, because he has some programs that make money. And so as you look at all of his programs, he might have Echo and Caslo that might have a positive, where he has aquatics that ends up with the negative, and it all kind of meshes together in the end. But his total negative will come out of his cash carryover, and it will come out of his beginning cash. And so, as he said, he won't have his complete 25% operating reserve, because some of that will have to be used to offset that. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that you as a council need to remember, because that's what helped us get a great bond rating, is that 20, and so, but Dan's really working hard on trying to right size all those activities. He's really working hard on fundraising. He's working hard on making sure he gets the revenues in where they're supposed to go. I mean, the guy works hard and he works, and I have no doubt he's going to get that taken care of. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I get another comment. I just like to say, Dan, you did so much work with the Aquatic Center this past year. And so I just want to say thank you from us and from the citizens. It looks great. It's going to be awesome for our community in the years to come. And that is a lot to do with your work. And so thank you so much for that.
Awesome to be a part of.
It was good. And then I think my last thing, and you might hear me say this a couple times tonight. I don't see that simple form, like I pointed out, that Cindy gave. So if each department had a really simple form like Cindy did, we wouldn't even have to, it'd be right there. Like
I will take care of that. I will take care of that.
And so I think if that was like that park and recreation budget summary, it goes right in that form. It's just really easy for us to see with every single department. That's just my suggestion.
We've got those.
I have the
We have all
information. I can get that out very easily. No problem.
Yes, go ahead.
Conservation
Office.
except, oh, yeah. Yeah, so the big, it's what helped fund a lot of big capital projects throughout the state.
Good question. Daniel, anybody? Guys, yeah, Paul.
Oh, I just want to echo some of the compliments. It's really appreciate being able to have a presentation now that we can get our arms around a little bit. There's a lot more detail. That's going to help greatly. I guess just another, heard me before, but again, probably the only city in the state of Washington that has their parks department set up as an enterprise fund. Okay, it has to live off its own revenue. That being said, it's very limited in how they can generate revenue. Now, our water division, the electric division, sewer, those are enterprise funds. How do we raise revenue there? You know, through rate increases. There are no rate increases you can impose on the Parks Department other than fees for the swimming pool, which would then render it useless if we had to really charge what the real costs are. Same with the rec programs. So to have it as an enterprise fund, living off what little bit of revenue we get from the utility tax for electricity, and then what little they live off at some point again, and Mark, you brought up the point on the gap. You know, pools aren't meant to break even, not if you want to provide the services, and it's a general fund service with no general fund revenue. So at some point, reality has to come into play here for the long term, especially with the aquatic center. How we want to then take care of restrooms, replace restrooms, and you're seeing we're slowly leaking out. We have been leaking. So there's going to have to be come to a reckoning at someday. And really, what do you want to do? And because it is truly the one quality of life program they have in the community is how well you take care of your parks and how you provide recreation for your community. Well, a lot of other things. But I'm not saying it's bad to have it in an enterprise fund. I think the day is coming that you can't rely on that solely and expect to provide the same services that I think our residents community will expect. So just a little plug there.
Thanks. Thanks, Dan. Great job.
Yes, go ahead.
I think given the budget is based on, I'm sorry, thank you. Given the budget is based on the cost for entry from this year, it's actually a two-part question. So is that being reevaluated? And will that impact any of your numbers for the budget for next year? Does that make sense?
So, this last year we had 2 sessions per day for one rate structure. So next year our goal is to have an all-day pass for the same price. So you're getting twice the access for the same price. That's our goal. And so you know, we're still kind of crunching like spreadsheets to make sure it all pencils out and making sure that like our like 10-day passes and other passes are in alignment with our daily rate. But does that answer your question? Well, this budget, these numbers were basically predicated off that assumption. Yeah.
Hi, I have a question for you because I saw you say implementing Cheney Aquatic Center Phase 2 and pickleball and tennis court project is a goal in 2026. One of my questions is, do you have a budget number for this project? And the second question is, do you know how long is the summer in Cheney? And the third question is, do you have a project number about how many people will attend the aquatic center and how many revenue will you bring from the aquatic center? Can you please answer the three questions?
Okay. So we did a feasibility study before building the pool. The feasibility study was based off the assumption that we'd have roughly 1,000 people per day and roughly a 70-day season. What we saw this last year, we saw an average daily attendance of 506, but I believe that over a 70-day season, just based off of like some assumptions, I'm guessing that we would probably be in the roughly 40,000 visitors. And so to your question, so the project, we got several quotes for pickleball court, adding pickleball courts, and the high number we've seen is 300,000. The amount that we're asking for contingency and everything else, including the rehab of the tennis courts, is 400,000. And again, that's real estate excise tax. Is that it?
And there could be, if I can add on, Dan, that project is early stages, kind of a goal for 2026.
Yeah.
So there might be some opportunities to partner with maybe the school district and others.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I have one more question. Can you talk about what your plans are for that pickleball court?
So our plans are to build 4 courts just adjacent to the current tennis courts, and then basically we'd have a racket complex right there. Yeah. Hello.
Does that, it's just really fast question. Are those going to have an entry fee as well? Then will those be getting charged for use?
No, so I'm going to my resident expert is Steve. I ask him anything that relates to a racket, but basically it would be just like tennis where you pick up, but then again, we'd have opportunities to do tournaments, bring some people into town. And there may be tournaments and stuff like that. That could be fundraising events, but generally it would be like first come, first serve type of setup.
Maybe some equipment rental.
Yeah.
Actually. Good questions. Thanks. Anybody else? Or anybody online? Anybody have questions for Parks and Rec? Last call here. You guys good? Thank you, Dan. Well done. Okay, next up is the fire department. Chief Jenkins, come on down.
I don't have to say it that way, though, do we?
What's
fire
that?
department?
Fire department.
We don't have to say it that way. Hopefully you're able to bring it up. Okay, thank you, Shelley. And I'll just let you navigate the slides if you don't mind. So you're probably seeing a theme tonight from your department heads trying to reduce the slides down so we can have a little bit more of a dialogue, be a little more respectful of your all's time. So with that, I wasn't as savvy as Dave and I didn't provide backup slides. I wrote that one down for the books for next year, but I felt like I should have worn khakis and a blue. It's hard to top Dave and Judge Leland for sure, but on a serious note, 2026 fire department budgetary process, Cindy did an extremely good job, in my opinion, on breaking down for the general fund on where those revenues are coming in from, how much is coming in and what's going out. So I wanted to focus a little bit more on it. If you could just maybe go back to the top there to the hierarchy. I think that I've received a few questions in the last few months exactly how we're structured, why we're structured the way we are, and what has changed. So I'd like to walk through that with you real quick. Fire departments across the nation, it's a common theme, 24 on, 48 off. Firefighters on average work, 3 months more per year than a 40-hour employee. That's a direct correlation to overtime cost. If a firefighter calls in sick, that's 24 hours of overtime versus 8. So there is a symbiotic relationship with that. When I got to the city 8 years ago, hard to believe that's been 8 years now, it was myself and our long-time secretary, who retired in June of 2023. With that, it was me and Olga, and then the rest was 9 firefighters. So in 2023, we brought on a 10th body, which is what I call that odd man. You see that we got sort of 4 right now on B shift, and that 4th person could float, from A shift or C shift if need be. But we're a little bit lopsided there. When we lost Olga, after sitting down with our previous city administrator, I said, hey, I'm going to need some administrative help because there's a lot of administrative work that goes into public safety. So with that, we were able to promote Jeff Anderson for the first ever deputy fire chief. And so that cost the city a little bit more money with that promotion, but the previous city administrator and myself were able to sort of level some of that out because we used to have 3 battalion chiefs, 1 on each shift, and we reduced that down to 3 captains. So that was a cost savings there. With that, we took some of their administrative workloads that they were managing on each shift. So then the 13th body who started in September of last year was our fire marshal, Deputy Chief Zach Heckquist, which has been, I think, a great addition to the city. I know he's been a great addition to the city. And so myself and the 2 deputy chiefs take on the lion's share of the administrative workload so that way the captains, lieutenants, and firefighters can focus on, you know, the occupation, the profession, what they really signed up to do. And that's to drive a fire truck like mad and not a desk with that. So our 18 volunteers are still with us. You know, we are still hovering around that 28 to 31 month attrition rate. So with that, we have, you know, 6 volunteers assigned to each shift with the understanding that on weekends and evenings only. Because if we wanted to try to bring in volunteers into the city of Cheney during Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, the work hours, we would have had to triple or even quadruple the number of the volunteers. So with myself and the 2 deputy chiefs, plus having 2 on an average day, 3 on the best day, that puts 5 firefighters in the city, at least Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the hopes that we get 2 volunteers that come in the evenings and the weekends to help keep that package somewhat robust. The goal of being 4, obviously, right? So that's sort of where we're at with the structure and how that came about. If you would kindly scroll down to the next slide. So we've had an unprecedented growth in emergencies in the city. And we've led the county 2 years back to back on that unprecedented growth. And the only thing I could put my finger on is the demographic has shifted post-COVID. We're going on a lot of those sort of calls that it keeps the police department and the fire department extremely busy. So matter of fact, we were doubled up on calls this afternoon, and myself, Chief Anderson, and Chief Oakes went on the 2nd medical call, a young adult individual who had overdosed and stopped breathing. So thankfully, we were able to spring into action and administer naloxone to bring her back. So, but that unprecedented growth, I put it up on a slide scale for you to show you that it's 28% in the last 2 years alone, with 53% growth since 2020. So we're just becoming more and more busy. Chief Anderson and I have started sitting down and trying to figure out ways how we can maybe curve some of that. Some of that is not just inherent to the city of Cheney. It's a nationwide issue with healthcare. We've got folks calling 911 for literally everything. And it's a total drain on the system all the way to the emergency department. So there's been a lot of conversations across the International Fire Chief Forum that is systemic with the same problem we're experiencing here in Spokane and the city of Cheney. So for our fire department analysis, I threw 2026 up here for you more in a percentage base. No, I'm not getting old. My eyes are just not working like they used to. Just like many departments' budgets, you know, about 75% of that is going towards salary, benefits, and wages. And so then if you tie in our volunteer program, which is not just the salary and some benefits that we have to provide to them based on state law, but also their equipment. So I sort of lumped all those together. So that in of itself makes up of almost 80% is staffing. Those obligated funds on the next slide, and I'll get to it in just a minute, Shelley. On the next slide, I wanted to tease that out for you to show that our obligated funds are basically those things that we have committed to that are earmarked. Contracts, insurance, things like that we just have to pay, our dispatch user fees. And so that really leaves about 7% meat on the bone to try to balance out between the rest of everything else we need to do to operate, which, you know, has been sustainable. But, and you all have done extremely well in the last few years to make sure that, you know, we can't afford the manpower or the extra people, at least we can afford some of the best tools and equipment that money can provide. So we're very grateful for that. Next slide, Shelley, please. So I took sort of that 6-year average or 5 years plus 2026, and I wanted to tease that out to see what that looked like. And you can see on the top left there, 53% has been an increase just in salary and wages in the last 6 years. Our part-time volunteer program, it started off a little weak, trying to gain volunteers to come in, to get them to commit, to send them through the fire academy, and then to get EMS training and wildland certifications. It takes about a year. We're finally at a point where we're starting to capitalize on what we have asked for year over year into that line item budget, which is $155,000. But generally that's a category within our budget we don't generally ever maximize out, because we are losing a third of our volunteers year over year, and we're starting that process all over again. What I was shocked to see on that bottom left of that screen is sort of the leases and the professional services that we are obligated into has increased 99% over the last 5 years. So things like our insurance, our IT fees, those have gone up exponentially. Our Shrek user fees are now going up exponentially. Things like that. So, those are things that we are obligated to if we want to be a sustainable department that's protected on our information technology infrastructure and all that in between. Excuse me. So that leaves about $94,000 for supplies, fuel, minor equipment, and then $52,000, which, this year and next year, Cindy's done well to take that EMS levy that got renewed. Which, this year was the first year, so we are able to maximize, the investment off of that EMS levy, and then that will eventually start to trail down over the next 5 years and until it's time for that to sunset, potentially ask the voters to go back out to graciously reapprove that for us. But, we were able to take some money this year and next year and bolster those two pots of money, the 7% that I was talking about, to help make us whole in certain areas, buy some of the equipment that we need. As you all know, things like equipment, none of that's getting any cheaper. It's getting more and more expensive. Cost of fuel, cost of everything's getting more expensive. With the increase in our call volume, as you know, 74% of what we do is EMS, which is right about the national standard. A little higher than the national standard, but even our EMS equipment, it's so volatile right now that today I could buy saline to push IV bolus. It might cost me $20. Tomorrow it's $120, and I have no say so nationally on how it costs. But now that we're solidified with an AMR contract and being able to purchase through their capital purchasing program, that should help ease some of the burden with our EMS gear and equipment that we have to replenish after almost every single medical call that we go on. Those are those additional items that, we come in and ask for above and beyond what the budget is. And you can see the top line is for 2025. I wanted to highlight those because I think it's important to express that, we are getting things done. We're getting a lot of things accomplished. The ramp got done. Thank you, Todd, for that. It looks amazing. Brand new ramp to the front of the station had big holes in it, and I'm glad we were able to get that repaired. Our Plimo vent system, that's just the exhaust filtration system when you back the trucks in. We were able to get that updated and modernized. Steve, on a tail end of a cold, so I apologize for that. But the use of opioid funds, a lot of thanks to Cindy for helping us navigate that, and we were able to get those in. I need to put that before you all, hopefully the next city council, but able to use some of those funds for a good cause. And obviously, Public Safety Committee and Councilmember Bealock, thank you so much for your help with us being able to secure some of those opioid funds to go towards some great, much needed life-saving equipment. The computer replacement, we were all faced with that. And so we had to find some money in the coffers to get the computers replaced, which I think we were the first in the city last week to get them replaced, I believe. It's running smoothly. After I remembered how to transfer all my stuff over, that worked out perfect. So, and then moving into 2026, my request for you all, obviously the SAFER is still up before you for consideration. Increase in a maintenance reserve budget, which is something that I've had good conversations with Cindy and Todd to see, to make sure that we're sustaining that pot of money, that rainy day fund, if you will, for large capital items. We were able to secure sending one of our career firefighters to paramedic school. Next year, we're going to need to go through a selection process with that, but we're down to one paramedic with 4 advanced EMTs and one who's still yet to test to be an advanced EMT. But I don't foresee any issues with him not passing his national registry for advanced EMT. And then we're looking at, you know, a joint storage building. You know, my father always said, son, you need a small house, but a big shed. And we're sort of at that point at the fire department where we just need more space to be able to store stuff. You know, I really, really adore that, that old fire truck that we have at the station. The original fire truck to the station, but it's eating up valuable bay space where we could take, you know, a frontline apparatus and get it out of the weather and park it inside the station where it's a little more climately controlled. So if we're able to maybe look at a self-storage facility, Mary, I think you threw out a good idea about leaning over towards Eastern to see maybe if there's a student body that would like to take that on, building some sort of a dry, cold storage facility behind the station where we could park that apparatus, joint use with PD, just to be able to help ease the burden of some of the overflow stuff that we have to manage. The station bay door replacement. I put this before you all for several years in a row, and then I asked to defer that because the cost estimate that I got 3 years ago for the bay doors is nowhere even close to what they are today. It just took me a while to get it in a more accurate cost estimate for that. If you don't mind going down to accomplishments, there's some things under the accomplishments that I really wanted to highlight that we accomplished this year. You know, obviously I've been up here before you 3 years in a row about partnering with Eastern to teach an ENT course curriculum. As you know, we ended up hiring the professor to be a career firefighter. Eastern, I believe, is extremely energized to keep that program moving forward. So much so I've had 2 meetings with the dean of the college over the nursing program to figure out what we can do to make that an enduring course for Eastern, with the potential of turning that into some sort of a 4-year degree program. So we're still having conversations with that. Talked about the 3 new firefighters that we hired to replace vacancies that we lost over the last year. So we were able to onboard 3 career firefighters, get them through all their training. They're doing exceptionally well. The Joint Rescue Task Force, Deputy Chief Anderson has been at the tip of the spear leading that initiative. We truly believe that we were the first in Spokane County to stand up Rescue Task Force. Chief Oakes had a lot to do with that initiative here way before I got here. And with Chief Anderson chairing the fire department training consortium for Spokane County, we were able to carve out a great curriculum for that course, put a lot of firefighters and police officers through a joint rescue task force training curriculum. Now it's being asked by areas out west if they can get their hands on the curriculum and start leaning into that as well. The Department of Ecology grant, we were able to be able to execute and buy some much needed equipment with that. You know, Chief Heckquist, excuse me, coming from the Department of Defense, there's some civilian equivalency certifications he needs to obtain to be a fire marshal, and he's getting after it. So I applaud him for his tenacious attitude to get fully certified and qualified. Let's see here. Still working on the city's annex to our hazard mitigation plan. Didn't forget about that email, Mayor, you sent me last week while I was out on a mob fire, obviously catching what we call Camp Crud. But hopefully I'll have that before you all before the end of the year for your final approval and passage with that. But working with Spokane County Department of Emergency Management to make sure that the City of Cheney is part of the county's plan that will be folded into the state's plan. That way, if in the event we need to seek out federal dollars because of some sort of a disaster, we will be recognized for that. Some of the goals that we're trying to achieve in 2026, develop a standard response coverage plan. We want to build that out. I think it's important for you all as policymakers to know the direction, having the analytics, the formed decisions that you need to make on the type and quality of care that you want to see your citizens receive. A lot of that will help you be able to make an informed decision with that. Been talking a lot about Chief Equus formalizing a fire marshal permitting process. A lot of fire departments have that. It's not a means to try to get money, but it's a means of trying to curb some of the behavior that we see sometimes from our contractors who ask us to come out 3 or 4 times to do an inspection upon an inspection upon an inspection. Still working with the county fire chiefs on maybe recoding and re-identifying the apparatus. So when the Gray Fire and the Oregon Road Fire broke out 3 years ago, that swept through the towns of Medical Lake and Elk Community, we've got a lot of apparatus within Spokane County that have the same nomenclature. So you can imagine that over the radio, if you're calling for engine 1, there may be 15 people responding. Go ahead. And so that creates a problem and it creates a safety concern. So the chiefs are working hard to try to navigate that, to figure out without having to completely rebrand and re-identify any particular agency's vehicle fleet, because that could be costly with that. Always looking for ways to become regionalized with Spokane County and the region. One of those initiatives that Jeff's working hard on is looking at a training consortium. They have one out west, and he's been in communication with a couple of departments out west where many departments come into a consortium. As you know, training is what we do. It's our bread and butter. We have to provide a lot of hours, state mandated hours, to make sure that we're proficient yearly. Actively pursuing feasibility discussions with District 3 for a potential consolidation still on the table. I'm patiently waiting for Chief Warbach with District 3 to get done with mow fires and then hunting season and everything else that happens to play out in the fall. But he and I are both committed to sitting down and at least start having conversations as it relates to that. If it pencils out, I'm not sure, but I think we owe it to ourselves and to our citizens to see if that's a better way to posture ourselves for fire and EMS service. And then other than that, just continue to work on that Eastern relationship to make sure that they know that we're their fire department. We had a great conversation today with Eastern, and thank you, Cindy, for definitely attending that. And that is the end of my slides, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, as long as I'm not choking on my saliva.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions? Go ahead.
I just had a question about, I know we've discussed previously negotiations with the Eastern contract. Where are we? Is that on the table for this coming year? Is that something we're engaging in already?
I believe, Mayor, you had a meeting with Max, you and Todd did about a week ago.
We started the conversation.
Okay.
We don't have any scheduled meetings right now, but we did start that conversation. Todd and I sat down with the new VP he came to council last time, Max.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we are going to engage them. So
okay.
It's a process.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yes, definitely. Because that's key. I mean, sure, they're paying for our services. Got to make sure that contract is correct. Anybody?
I always have.
From Jill to any other? How about in the crowd? Yes, go ahead. Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
Chief, 2 weeks ago, there was a recognition that you had received a grant from FEMA, 5 positions. Any update on that?
Well, the best update I have is that due to the government shutdown, I received a formal notification from FEMA stating that the grant, we had a drop dead date of October 24th to accept or deny the grant. And they have pushed that date now till November 24th with hopes that the government will be back up and running by then. So that's the best news I have for right now. We're all waiting.
Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
In regards, so you were talking about how call volume has significantly increased and things like that. Is there any current public teaching programs of what people can do in situations to help, not help you with your calls, but who to contact instead of 911? And in regards to naloxone, everyone, you can actually get that for free, by the way, online. Anyone can get it. I highly suggest everyone carries it. But is there any public teachings that are happening right now?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of it. Not to cut you off, my apologies. I think there's a lot of great initiatives out there. You know, we partner with the Spokane Cares team, which is the City of Spokane Fire Department about a decade ago started a program with our Eastern students that were going into, you know, psychology majors and things like that. And so we partnered with that program 5 years ago to help offset or curve some of that. Part of that program is that if we end up going on the same patient 4 or 5 times, that we recognize maybe there's an issue beyond medical, like a socioeconomic issue, then we reach out to the CARES program. What's your guys' program, Chief, that you guys stood up 2 years ago? The crisis response team, which is a trained certified clinician with a law enforcement officer, is another tool or a vehicle that we work closely with from the fire department stance, that if we go on individuals that maybe they're not in a 911 acute crisis, but they're having some sort of a life crisis, for lack of better words, we also can reach out to law enforcement through that crisis response program to help with that. But yeah, I think there needs to be a significant education with the citizens, not just within Cheney, but across the nation, because we're seeing a spike across the United States as a whole on people calling 911 for virtually everything.
Yeah.
Great question.
Anybody else have a question for Chief Jenkins? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Another question. With the salary and benefits, the increase of the 53% over the last 6-ish years, is that negotiations, or is that just the cost of, does insurance play into that? Like, do you know what makes up that difference in the 6 years?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a swing at it, and then I'm gonna defer to Cindy.
Okay.
You know, so yes and yes. I mean, yes, we saw a significant increase in collective bargaining discussions with the union. That added to that, no doubt. And the second of that is just the cost of the total cost compensation of their package, if you will, their benefits. We've seen an increase in the benefits package as well.
Okay.
With that. And then, of course, adding the 13th body, which would have been our fire marshal, is where you saw a little bit of an uptick in some of that as well.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
Good.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So my question too, I think it's for both of you probably, because it has to do with the Eastern contract, I think, more than anything. But when we get down to Ordinance Y94, it'll come into play. But one of the things under Section 2 is that the way that levy amount comes back to us is based on any increase in the value of state assessed property. So I guess my question is, has Eastern been assessed lately? I mean, they've gotten a couple
that's
new
exactly
buildings.
That's exactly what we're working on.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Cindy, do you want to add to that? But that's exactly what.
So the conversations I've had with the county assessor over the years is, gee, can I get that state assessed property value?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the last thing that the assessors work on, because it's not taxable to us anyway. So they work on everything that's going to be taxable to the different governmental agencies, and the last thing they do is the state assessed valuation. I don't know that it gets done every year. It may not, but the last time I checked, they told me that it was not. But it is something, if we can get an updated version of that, that would be super helpful.
And would help us in contract.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Yeah. Okay, great.
It's my understanding Mr. Anderson has also been collecting a file of.
Yep.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking about it a lot in,
in
our subcommittee, safety subcommittee.
And the data will help with the negotiation.
The data will help with that.
Chief, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't. I mean, obviously, if we're going to go into negotiations with Eastern, who we truly value and appreciate and support them as much as they do us, I think just having good analytics, good data to let it speak for itself is going to be very paramount to having just a healthy conversation. Where that lands, you know, it's a lot of that, you know, that socio-political environment to make sure we're both being a good stewards to one another.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Final?
Ready to turn around.
No, anybody online? Well, thank you, Chief Jenkins. I appreciate the presentation. Well done. Next, please, Acting Chief Oaks, come on up. And
Good evening. I apologize for being in this outfit today. I'm 50% of the police force right now, so if I'm listening or I stop talking, it's because I have the radio in my ear and I look off into space trying to hear it. The first page is our mission statement. And what I kind of wanted to touch on, I'm not going to read all these slides to everyone. Together we strive for a safer and more compassionate community for all. In 2025, our mission has really been focused on community. We can't do what we do without the support of the public, and the public can't do what they do without the support of us. So I wanted to make sure that was part of our mission statement. Shelly, yeah, thanks. It's been a day. And they're just yelling in my ear all night. So, on the department overview, what I wanted to kind of point out too is, like we talked about, is the crisis response team. They have been invaluable to the service we can provide to the citizens of Cheney. To touch on your question earlier, I don't know if this is interactive or can I just
to council, yeah.
They provide almost every resource imaginable: housing, veterans assistance, Narcan, all these things. As a matter of fact, they were tied up on a lot of calls today, so there is a resource, and we couldn't do what we do without them either. 2025 accomplishments and projects. There's a couple things I wanted to point out. We've added a second drone operator because we've really understood the value of drone deployments. We continue to use them almost weekly. It's a force multiplier for us. It allows us to do a lot of things that we just simply can't do with 2 or 3 officers. We've replaced 2 patrol vehicles to kind of phase out some of our aging ones. We've used police guild funds to build ourselves a workout space in our garage. We've recognized the importance of physical fitness and mental fitness, and it's being used on a daily basis by at least half the department. Soon it'll be all the department. I should probably get in there more as well. We've implemented the flock cameras. I think we have 4 operating currently right now, with 3 or 4 remaining. And we continue our efforts to develop strategies to better address the concerns of the citizens. Community-oriented policing is our goal, and we're striving to do that to the best of our ability. Some of the goals for 2026 and somewhat challenges are: we want to reestablish the dedicated traffic enforcement officer. It seems like weekly I get reports or requests for increased traffic enforcement in the city of Cheney. I pulled some data, and right now, to date, we've conducted 1,607 traffic stops this year. Traffic is an issue, and we are trying to address it to the best of our ability. We want to add a second investigator. We did have a second detective assigned to the detective's office earlier this year. Because of staffing, we had to pull them to patrol. A lot of our cases are extremely complex and resource dependent, and they take dozens and dozens of man hours even to accomplish the simplest task. We want to promote 2 officers selected in July 25 to corporal. Corporals allow us to spread our supervisory coverage for as much of the day as we can. There's a lot of increased liability with specific calls for service that we face on a daily basis. And we continue to research funds for grant opportunities. Next slide. This is our organizational chart, and I wanted to point out that we currently have 2 vacancies in the patrol and 1 full-time chief vacancy. We also have 2 officers assigned to FMLA right now, which puts our operating levels at 13 to include me, which is an acting chief of police and lieutenant. Our operations, Again, we have 18 FTEs and 1 grant-funded FTE with those vacancies you guys see there. We serve a population of approximately 13,000 residents from the last census. We respond so far to date 10,154 calls for service. We haven't seen a large increase in those call volumes, but what we have seen is the amount of time it takes on the calls. And I'll give you an example just from today and what I'm listening to is we had an in-custody arrest at 10:35 this morning, and we have an officer assigned to that person, and they've been at the hospital since that time currently, which is why I'm covering the other 50% of the calls. So we have an obligation to that person once we take them into custody. We can't just leave them. So they've been assigned to that person for over 7 hours, and that leaves an officer out of the city of Cheney during that time. Again, like Chief Jenkins stated earlier, we continue to adhere to our state mandated training. It seems that it's continuing to increase over the years. Our overtime, I want to specifically address our overtime. Through September, we've used 147% of our allocated budget. That number is high. What I see is the human hours behind that number that we've talked about in Public Safety Committee and that we routinely talk about amongst our officers. So back to community-oriented policing. To date, we have participated and been involved in over 60 community engagement events in Cheney. I listed a few of those up there to include Cheney Bike Rodeo, Coffee with a Cop, the football games, the Touch a Truck, the 9/11 Memorial State Stair Climb, and the Special Olympics. And if we can go to the discretionary requests, a couple things I wanted to point out to you guys. I know you guys have the packets in front of you. The Hexagon CAD software system is a new CAD RMS system that Shrek's implementing in 2026. It's a cost-sharing program for all the agencies in the county, short of the airport and Spokane Police Department. We estimate the portion of our purchase share to be approximately $110,000. It's a one-time cost with an annual cost of approximately $19,000 thereafter. They're not super sure on when that's going to roll out. We have designated training in February for our department. It still appears to be maybe second or third quarter of 2026. Not sure yet. We've requested a 2026 Ford F-150 to replace the detective vehicle that was involved in a collision earlier this year and deemed a total loss. And we've also asked for 4 additional patrol officers to meet our basic service level needs. With that, that's the end of my presentation. I am available for questions if any exist.
Council, go ahead.
Questions. Okay, I have a few questions actually. So one is you've shown in our Public Safety Committee an org chart with the additional positions and how that would offset stuff. Do you have a copy you can send to us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just explaining it a little bit more. With the 4 additional FTEs, I would assign 1 to each patrol shift. And what that would look like is it would look like 3 officers per shift. So we could have any one officer gone for any number of reasons without being catastrophic to the agency. It wouldn't require any overtime. We can still operate efficiently. Whereas right now, it's me and one other, and a sergeant actually working to cover the calls for the city of Cheney.
Okay, thank you. And I was also wondering overtime, you touched on it this year, obviously what it is, but what has it historically been over the last 6 to 10 years?
This is a historic overtime cost since 2015. In 2015, we implemented in our collective bargaining agreement that we would staff officers with 2 officer minimums within the city. So because of that, we try to staff appropriately, but that just gives us 2 officer minimums throughout the year.
Okay. And sorry, one more.
But we do have the numbers if you want them.
I would love, yeah, I would love.
Over the last 6 years? Oh,
yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, we can get them to you for the last decade,
okay.
let's say.
Perfect. And then my last question is, how many citizen complaints have we had, like this year, if you know?
We've had one that resulted in an investigation.
Thank you.
On your work chart, you have one FTE that's grant funded. I assume that's a member of your crisis response.
Correct.
When does that grant sunset?
Sunsets July of 2027.
Have you seen a lot of success with the flock cameras so far?
So far, yes, we've arrested one person based off the information provided on the camera, and yes.
Did you have more? No. I guess one follow-up on the grant. I mean, is there an opportunity to extend that, or are we actively pursuing that?
We are. It's a grant funded through WASPIC, through the state, which is Washington Associations of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. This is the second go around for us receiving the grant in collaboration with the Airway Heights, who also has a team. I can't project what they'll give us for that following grant year, so we hope.
So was it a 3-year grant then?
It's 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
This is the second 2-year run.
Correct.
The second time we've received it. It holds a little bit more weight when Airway Heights and Cheney together support that, because we go into it together. Well, Airway Heights submits it with Cheney's support. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
How about anybody in the crowd? Anybody online? Going once, going twice. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. And next is Finance, Cindy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mine isn't nearly as interesting as police and fire. Finance stays the same. That we do a lot of the same things. As I look at the top of that, those don't really change. What has changed this year is we brought the city clerk and records management back under finance. Our city code puts that under the finance department. That was sitting in administration, so we brought that back under finance. That's not a increased cost to the city. It just moved it from one department to another. But all of our, that just kind of shows everything we do. I do that with a total of now 10 people. And I think they do an excellent job. They work really hard every single day, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them. So some of our accomplishments, a lot of this is the same as they are in every year. We do financial statements. We go through an annual audit. We did reorganize this year. We had an employee leave, and using some of the skill sets that my current employees already had, I was able to rearrange, take a job and move it amongst people I already had, and it reduced an FTE in my department. You know, we're always looking to save money where we can. And so right now that is working really well with our current staff. And again, the workload they do is pretty amazing. We currently, just very recently, contracted with a public records auditor. So you all know that we had a new city clerk and records manager start last year. And as you chatted with her, she said it was kind of like a fire hose getting trained and just the amount of information and work that was. And so we brought her back to kind of audit some of those, to give some additional training for public records. We all know public records is super important. We get a lot of them, a lot of public record requests. They have to be handled in a very specific way. And there's a lot of laws around all of that. So just to kind of do an audit and how we did that, and to provide some more training and and a resource for public records, which I think is really important. So we were very grateful to bring our former public records officer, Kathy, back for a short time to provide that for us. So it's not a long-term commitment, but we will certainly utilize that in the short term in which we have. I believe it was Fire that spoke to our Windows 11 upgrade. So everybody that has Windows knows that Windows 10 support on that went away in October. So Executech, our IT company, they went and they looked at everybody in every department, and anything they could upgrade for free, they did. but we had a lot of equipment from 2020 that was not upgradable. So every department has had to go through this expense of trying to figure out how to fund replacing either desktops or if they're in the field, their laptops. What we've moved to for a lot of positions is a dockable laptop. So it's going to come in, like in my desk, I'll have a laptop, it'll dock in there, and then I can pull it out and take it home. So there's no longer a need for two devices. We've gone to one device. So I think that's over time a nice cost savings. And I kind of wanted to point that out. So my goals for 2026, well, you'll be hiring a new finance director. So that's a goal. I think continue to, follow our best established practices under Governmental Finances Officers Association and GASB. There's great training there. And I think that as you move forward, the person that sits in this seat will do really well to keep involved in those organizations. And that's kind of how you keep your thumb on what's going on in the world. We are continuing to cross-train within my department so that we don't have these succession issues. So someone can always step up if something happens. Tonalist, I'm sure you'll hear about that when Steve talks about the light department next time, but we have the billing component of that. And I have a person that's pretty involved in trying to bring that up and keep that moving. The wireless access points within city facilities, if I can't get done if that won't happen this year, it will be next year. They're all aging. They finally got the fire departments done, but every single facility needs new wireless access point. I have that budgeted in the IT budget, and that will be great. We continue to work on our infrastructure needs. Obviously, a couple things that aren't on there that I thought about later is that the website. So we are undergoing a website refresh right now. Miley in the mayor's office is working really hard on that. I saw a little sneak peek of it, and it's pretty fabulous. I'm pretty excited. She's doing a great job. I know she has Councilmember Bartels and the mayor working with her on that, trying to do some more modern things with our website. Our website was pretty stagnant. So that's coming out of the IT budget as well. We hear a lot of people talk, all departments, and I understand that. They get frustrated with their IT charges. That pays for our network services with Executech. It does pay for things like the website and the refresh. It pays for software that everybody uses. It pays for all of that stuff, and it just gets spread out to those different departments. Try hard to keep, try hard to keep a lid on that, but we have to have a bit of reserve in that fund. What if we lose a major server? We have to be able to replace that. So I've been eating away at that reserve. So this particular year is kind of building that back up a little bit. So we have that available. Finance budget, the top one there, general fund, almost 1.9. That covers my whole department. That covers the state auditor's costs. That went went over $100,000 this year. It's kind of shocking. Intergovernmental, that would be the contribution to the street department, plus things like animal control, plus emergency management, all those contracts we have that we try to pull out of individual budgets, and they just live there so it doesn't inflate their budgets, and so they're able to manage their own operating budgets better. So that's the general fund piece, and then all the stuff down there underneath that are the other things that have dedicated funding that are funded already, and then we manage those budgets. The big one there is our real estate excise tax. I believe Dan spoke to that. He was looking for some real estate excise tax for his tennis and pickleball project, which we were able to do. And also Todd is going to, when he continues to look at that roundabout, there's also some money funded in that as well. Lodging tax, we budget the entire amount of money that we have just in case, we have a lot of requests, and lodging tax has been very active this year. So it's nice to see people coming after that and using that money. So that's pretty much what that is. This isn't quite what and I'll go back to the other format because that's what Councilmember Postuma wants, but this kind of shows the top part is my total expenses, and then it shows how much is funded in the orange, and then the green is the impact on the general fund. That's just for the finance department only. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Cindy. Questions for Cindy? Go ahead, Danielle.
Sorry. I have a question about the like where it's criminal justice, the dedicated programs. Is that the total amount in those funds? Is that like a rolling total, or is that
a rolling total? It is the carryover cash from this year plus any revenues that they're going to have, and then what we spend, and then there's money that's budgeted to go into the next year.
Okay.
Criminal justice, though, we are spending more than we're receiving. So this year, police, the new CAT system they're talking about, we're funding that out of criminal justice because it's a new thing. Criminal justice has very specific rules on what you can use it for. It has to be a new program. Well, we haven't had that before, so I figure it's new, so I can move that over there. And so we're spending a bit out of that this year, but like that's a one-time cost.
Okay. So, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Teresa, any other questions? About the crowd, anybody? Yes, Rebecca.
So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the website. You said that you're contracting out with another company to do that. And did I hear that right?
Yes, you are. So we have a company that kind of supports our website. So it's cloud-based. So they actually support it on their cloud. And it was their software that we run the website through. It's Civic Plus, and they are they do a lot of municipal websites, a lot. So that was probably, I'm guessing, 10-ish years ago we did that website. Was it that long? Could have been. And so we went out for an RFP, brought in all the websites, you review all that, and then you choose the one you want, and we chose Civic Plus. So this is actually a free refresh that we get from that. Now, based on that, it's free to say this is what you can do, and then if you want to do this, this, and this, it's going to cost you some money. So we are doing something that's going to cost us some money also. So we have the free part, and then I think when you look at it, it's just very different. It looks great. It's very exciting. I asked her when we get to do it, and not quite yet. And the current one has a bunch of buttons on the bottom. I don't know if you and now this has a whole bunch more, totally different color scheme. It's going to have some chat. What's it called?
Chatbot.
A chat bot on it, so you can ask questions on the bottom. The mayor was asking just recently about perhaps a contract to put some mapping on it so we can get things. So we're really trying to make it useful for the citizens so they have a place to go and they can easily find what they're looking for.
That's awesome. Do you know when it should launch?
I do not, but I will try to figure that out. I will ask Miley. That's happening out of the mayor's office, and that's hers. But I would imagine it would be, I think, maybe the first part of next year.
Say we're trying to get it the first part of next year.
Yeah.
But
It takes a bit.
a lot of elements to it, so we want to make sure we get it right.
Thank you.
Cybersecurity.
Hmm?
So is this site going to be something that the citizens use to make their payments?
So that's part of it. So we have a different piece of software that comes through the website. Yes, that's called Click to Gov. And that's where you can go through, and as you can now, you'll be able to make your payments on your utility bills, which will be great. And that's a really great, and it's great for the citizens. It's great for us. It's great for everyone. So our network security firm, Executech, one of the things that they work on, and it's a big process, is the cybersecurity piece. So we have a lot of security things, a lot of dark web monitoring that's going on behind the scenes. We have actually tests that we send out to the employees to see if they're going to click on something they're not supposed to click on. But there is this particular contract with our current internet provider or network provider. They are very big on the security piece. And that was a huge improvement for us when we did that, because that was just always that thing in the back of your head that you wondered, and now I know that we're very secure. It's monitored 24/7. So I feel really good about that. Oh, you're right, Todd. Thank you. Yes. And so we were also audited again by the state auditor's office, but they came through and did a security audit on all of our infrastructure. And that came out as a positive audit as well.
Did that include like a pen test on the website, or will it on the new one? Okay.
Thank you. Good questions. Discussion. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Cindy, I want to offer it up, since we've been here for 2 hours. Do we need to take a break? It's up to you guys. We need to take a 5-minute, 10-minute
We have
break.
one left
or-
and it's
or-
yours, Mayor, and then
Oh.
you'll be done with presentation.
Okay, let's do that. And Todd, is you and Todd gonna do
Yep.
that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll just move on to admin. This should be pretty quick, yeah?
It's not very long either. So the administration obviously has been going through some change, you know, parts of this year. And so Todd and I have been trying to assist the mayor in making sure that that runs. But there's the mayor's office has done a lot of great things. And first and foremost, our wellness city that helps keep our benefit costs low. And when we talk about increases in all of our departments and their wages and benefits, that's a super important thing. When I say began for the city administrator and began for the police chief, this is what's going to go in our budget document. And so by the end of the year, I think we will have began those. I don't think those have started yet, but those will. They're in the middle of negotiating several labor contracts, opioid settlement. You've approved several of those this year, and we've been able to utilize some of that in some of this budget. That's great. The mayor is always working collaboratively with other agencies to try to see how we can most efficiently and best provide services for our citizens. And there's another page of accomplishments. I don't need to read them all, but the very last one, those purchased and installed those new EWU banners, which I think we can all agree look fabulous in our city. Those look great. The 2026 goals, there's some economic development pieces going on. I know the mayor's involved in that. Looking to continue to code enforcement within our city. There's some legislative issues that we're working with our lobbyists on. And then obviously recruit. I'm going to go to the very end, recruit for some key positions. Mayor, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. If there's anything.
Yeah, no, that was just gonna say, that's a big focus. Those are key positions in the city. So I have to do my due diligence to make sure that those positions are filled appropriately. So it's taking time, but I'm doing that on purpose. So, and I want to thank Cindy and Todd for stepping up and helping in the interim. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And acting chief folks as well.
We can go down.
Yeah, so there's new leadership at Eastern. So one of my big goals is to foster increased partnerships with Eastern. We've done a really good job, not just City Hall, but our departments are connecting with different parts of Eastern that we can collaborate, and got like Dave said, some interns, and we've got an intern at HR. So I think to continue that collaboration with Easton, the key going forward, because their strategic plan has changed, and they're rolling into a new strategic plan. We're rolling into working on our comprehensive plan. It makes sense that we're both on the same page going forward. So a lot of the mayor's job will be to continue those partnerships for sure.
Popping into the budget. So the mayor's office has these 6 areas.
Forward.
Admin, city council, legal, code enforcement, the library, and left one. We removed, like I said, the city clerk out of there and put that back into finance. So that's a little over 1.3 million that the mayor's office is budgeting for next year. And then here's this little bar graph again that shows what their expenses are, what's been dedicated, what they receive in funding, and then how much has to come out of the general operations. City beautification is the money we get from business licenses. And so that's used for several things throughout the year. We are looking to look more of that into open space, to help with some seasonals, to help with keep our open space and some of our green spaces more cared for in the summer months.
And if I can jump in here, my goal next year is to deploy more of that money. There are some areas that need some help. So, and again, collaborating with Eastern on like the sign when you come into Cheney, that should pop, and it's starting to get a little bit run down. So it makes sense that we put a little bit of effort into that.
Absolutely.
Just as an example.
An opportunity to speak too. In case he wants to talk about something.
But yeah, things are progressing forward pretty good. I think negotiations with the labor contracts, we've learned some things to not have a retro pay. So my goal is to get everything done by the end of the year to that end. But I'm just sitting here, we've gone through 9 presentations. I was hoping to get done by 6:30, but you know, no, but it is very impressive to take a look at being we are a full service city and we do a lot, you know, day in and day out. It's pretty impressive just kind of sit back and not talk all the time and just be able to listen to that. So pretty impressed with you. So, and what I want to say is that before I end this is day one, and we're committed to going through this whole budget process, not only now or in council. Cindy and I have committed ourselves to come into your committee meetings and sit down, getting the proper information. That's what we want to hear. We'll get that to you as we move in, with the goal is to finish up with the enterprise funds on the next council meeting, and then leaving the end of November for just an open session to have any type of other talk. So hopefully that was kind of the goal this year, to see that and have that education all to give you the best stuff we can get to make you have an informed decision.
And in closing, I just wanted to thank all the department heads. The budget season is a tough season to get through, and you guys did a fantastic job, 100%. So, and I appreciate you being good stewards of taxpayer money. I appreciate that. So thank you. Final questions? Yes.
2 questions. Just in the administration budgets, city council for almost 115,000. What's wrapped into that? And does that also provide for like a retreat for next year for budget season? Okay.
It's obviously your compensation. There's other things that are contractual that are paid from. There are other things that are contractual that come out of the city council budget. For instance, I'm just trying to think. There's like some major contracts, and I'll pull those up and send those to you. So off the top of my head, I'm not hearing that.
It's like
but
a
what there
in Washington cities, and
there's AWC stuff. But we do have But what we do have also in there is money to go to Cheney Outreach to help, so they can help people go to the swimming pool.
Okay.
And that's out of your budget. And I'm also budgeted out of your budget money to help with Echo and Caslow expenses, because as those rates have gone up, just based on wages that have gone up, that's hard for some of those folks. And so you as a group are contributing in both of those areas. I believe it was 10,000 for both of them to go to outreach to help with those for next year.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Is that it?
Good question.
Yeah.
It's not just.
Yeah, that's my thing. I was like, yeah.
Go ahead.
I just have a quick one. Under the 2025 accomplishments, one of them was reestablish the Civil Service Commission for oversight of the merit-based hiring. I know that's a big part of hiring a new police chief. Could you just?
Yeah, we're at, it said it's accomplishment. We're not there yet, but yesterday was the closing for applications, and I've received several. So my next goal was to appoint, after interviews, 3 people, staggered 2-year, 4-year, 6-year, because we want to stagger the board members, commissioners. And I'll bring that to you all probably next council meeting, but I'd like to appoint this week.
Okay. So those are appointments. Those are appointments done by you and then voted on by us?
No, they're appointed by me, but I wanted to bring that up to you.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Right? That's right. That's an appointment. Yeah, but I wanted to bring that up. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But that's a requirement of the state that we have an more active. So yeah, that'll be in place real soon. So great. Even though it's accomplished in 2020, it will be accomplished.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am going to, unless there's any final thoughts, questions, I'm going to close the public hearing on our general government fund department budget presentations. Thank you all. And again, I'm going to offer it up because it's been 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. Do we need to take a 5 or 10 minute break?
5
5?
Wouldn't hurt.
All right, let's take a 5-minute break real quick. And so 8:21.
Okay, so you want everything in the same table that I did on the revenue. That's the table you like. Just don't want any pie graphs. You don't want any bar charts.
yeah. Okay.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Just as.
There. Yep. Okay. Okay. Got it.
I feel negative.
For everybody. I'd like to do it. There's some things I'd like to do, you know, they're in my way. Kind of control freak. I'd like them to, right.
Either you or my wife is waiting at that way. Yeah, 1:30. Yeah. Yeah, the bread's constantly out. And I think short shaken. Yeah, like my house actually has a lot of pictures.
Hey, you.
Are you peeing down there or something?
What?
You're peeing down there?
Yeah, but I got an old bladder. It'll stretch. You know, tonight, getting all this good stuff.
This one, Don Eggert's only sent to Ron and me. He said that Helen, no, that basketball player, his second or third basketball game, he was 6 for 6 from 3-point.
Really?
NBA.
Really?
And scored 27 points.
Really?
Yeah, on a marvelous game.
Why didn't, I mean, I saw the potential that was here, and he got hurt at WSU.
Right.
I went to the Gonzaga game last night. That kid that just got, yeah, it was really cool. He just ran from the courthouse. He got dressed and ran on, and the student body went nuts. It was,
That's what I heard.
Oh man, it was just made you feel so, how cool that was. He's gonna be, he was, I was impressed with him. But then I don't think they're gonna be as good as we were last. I don't think the record is some the Eastern games come up. I'm really interested to see how they.
Well, the first game against UCLA.
Yeah. Well, I'm flying down there. I hope if we can get a video of that, but that'll be good for them. I mean,
there's 4 games in a row. Those are all paydays.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. But it'll be good. Yeah. This presentation is 10 times better than the last couple of years. There's more there laid out. Still, I got a ton of questions.
So I like that budget that Albert talked about, where each department has their details and then
Yeah, project the
underneath
next
that is
5-year
their
projections.
reserves.
Yeah.
I want to make that a big deal.
Yeah. Well, what's a big deal is there's always these demands. You look at what.
Well, look at those shortfalls.
The demand and what we can expect for revenue.
Just looking at you, you're sitting there going, 5. It's 411.
Yeah. I hope I don't give that impression, but that's the reality of it. It's gonna be, it's interesting how council people come and go. That's the whole purpose. I want to hang on 20 years like we did in the Congress.
They go foolish stuff.
All right.
Oh.
Zip through the rest.
Feel better?
Oh, yeah. That sounds louder.
It's like, like hot, cold. Like freezing up here during half of it.
I wasn't gonna recommend one either.
No, I didn't. I was tough it out.
Yes.
You guys have been quiet over there. Just gonna sit and watch that.
I know. Really, it's just like the where.
All right, let's get back into this open public meeting. We've got some more action items to go. So I want to bring up our Assistant Public Works Director, Mr. Dan, for Resolution F426. This is the electric vehicle purchase, the half ton. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Good news is I don't come with PowerPoint, so let's be quick.
Nice.
We're coming back to the SRTC grant we received for electric vehicles. We finally got approval through the state to go ahead and go out for advertisements for those. This resolution is for the half-ton pickups. We got 3 bids. Corwin Ford came in at the low bid of $50,378 per vehicle. The total cost is $201,512.00. And just as a refresher, the grant is 83.4% of the cost, and the city will cover 16.6% of the cost. So with council's approval, we'd like to go ahead and enter into the contract for this. We still have to resubmit this to the state after y'all approve it, get their approval again, and then hopefully we can move towards purchase.
It's been a long process.
It's been a long process. It's 3 years.
Yeah.
And they admit they're in the learning process too. This has been one of those, okay, now what do we do type thing. We're working through it. This is hopefully one of the last stages prior to actually obtaining the vehicles.
Gotcha. Thanks, Dan. Any questions for Dan on Resolution F426?
Just one. Go ahead. And it's really on all of them, but do we have to pay taxes on them?
Yes.
We do. So the bids, the total's not really 201, then it's 219, 849.
Yeah, with the taxes.
Okay.
Plus
and I just noticed it on all of them. We just didn't add the taxes in.
Yeah, I didn't put them in there because actually Corwin had they had 9% tax to 8.9%. So okay, you know, we'll make that adjustment to purchase. Yeah, comes out in our favor.
Any other questions for Dan? Go ahead.
I was just gonna make a motion that we approve F426.
Motion to second to approve Resolution F426, the half-ton pickup electric vehicle purchase. Any other questions for Dan? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Dan. Resolution F426 passes. And this is the Resolution F427 is the electric sport utility vehicle. Go ahead.
Okay, 427. We went out for one sport utility vehicle for a staff vehicle. We got 3 non-responsive bids back. Basically what 2 of them were, they wanted a placeholder in case we went out to bid again. They wanted us to know that we were interested. The 3rd bid came from, I don't see it here, sorry. It came back. One Nation. Logistics 3, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, One Nation SUV. They came back at $191,000. It turned out we had an error on the bid form for 3 instead of 1. So that's why that number is so high. Okay. At the end of the day, their specs, they came back with for example, specification. We were not able to verify their bid was valid to what we were doing. Speaking to the SRTC group and through state DOT, we determined that was best probably to reject. What we were asking for is that council give approval that when state bid opens, that we just go out to the state bid agency and purchase this vehicle through them, which is considerably cheaper than what this One Nation would have bid to begin with.
So you want to reject their bid?
We want to reject it as
move to reject the bid for One Nation.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to reject the bid in Resolution 427. Any other questions or comments?
We really don't have the choice.
We don't have,
it doesn't work and you don't want to monkey around. You reject it and we'll come back.
Right.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Dan. Resolution 428 is the UTV off-road electric vehicle purchase.
Yes, and that one came back with 3 bids on there. Logistics 365 out of Nebraska was low on that. At 40,963 per unit. They have them in stock and can ship them. That actually came in less than what we were anticipating through the state bid process. So this was actually a really nice return on the pricing. So we're asking for $926. My eyes are getting tired. Again, it's the same grant with the same obligation of the 16.6 for the city.
Thanks, Dan. Questions for Dan?
So on all of these, again, we're getting grant funds for about 85%, 86. The balance is paid by the utility department, so it's really not a general fund. But I think it's all good stuff. So
yeah,
let's go get these too.
All right.
I'll move for approval of F-428.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution F-428, the UTV electric vehicle purchase. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Dan. Resolution F-428 passes. Okay, resolution F-429. This is well 7 pump rehab.
Yeah, we have 429 and 430. They'll follow it. Well 7 was historically about 350 gallon a minute well. Over the last few years, we've seen that number continue to drop off. One of the indicators that we have still good water there is that we have when we turn the well off, we have about 171 feet of water over the top of the pump. So that means we have good groundwater level. What we've determined in there is most likely the well casing is getting plugged up. So this first one, 429, we went out for quotes for pulling the pump, overhauling it, overhauling the motor, and then reinstalling the pump. Specialty Pump Service out of Spokane is the local company that came in, and they bid us $46,180 for that project. So we'd like to move forward with this work this fall.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Questions for Dan on rehabbing this well?
Your Honor, we discussed this at Public Works. We've gone through all this, so I'll let my colleagues take it.
I would make a motion to approve F-429. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution F-429, the rehab of well 7 pump. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Dan. Resolution F-429 passes. And then similar is resolution F-430. This is the well 7 well case rehab.
I'm running out of resolutions for you. Once we pull well 7 out, what we want to do is we have water recovery service come in. They offer a number of casing rehab options, from scrubbing the casing, which we think is going to open it back up, to doing acid treatments, to doing carbon dioxide injection. This price for $23,230 covers all those options if we use them all. Chances are we won't, so actually the pricing will probably end up being less than this, but we would like to ask for permission to have all those options on the table. So hopefully we can restore, the flow of this well back to its premium capabilities.
Thanks, Dan. Any questions for Dan?
It was ditto.
Yeah.
Talked about that.
Move to approve F-430. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution F-430, the well 7 well case rehab. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Dan. Resolution F-430 passes. Is Steve, or Todd, are you doing so resolution F-432 is booster station 3 fiber.
Sure. Basically, this is the last build out of our backbone of fiber to our SCADA systems, and we've been reliant on Ziply to kind of cover that communication. So, as you know, we're kind of ending our contract, so to speak, with Ziply by the end of November. So we need to get this up and going, and hopefully we can get the backbone of our SCADA system. Once that is all in place, we don't have to rely on any type of other communication, any wireless type of communication, so we can really sock in the security of the SCADA system. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Todd. Any questions for Todd on booster station 3?
The subject matter at our last Public Works Committee meeting. Covered it thoroughly.
Move to approve F-432. Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second to approve resolution F 432 Booster Station 3 Fiber Project. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Thank you, Todd. Resolution F 432 passes. Moving on to ordinances, we do have ordinance Y94, 2026 regular and general obligation property tax levy. Cindy.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm looking for the first read of this ordinance tonight. We went over our tax levy presentation, giving what we believe our tax levies will be. And so we are required to file our ordinance with the county by the end of November. So if we have our first read tonight, if we have our second read, our second and final read, the first part of November, it'll be passed and effective and published, and I will be able to get that to the county for our tax levies by the end of November. So it's the same for both. I'm asking for first read of Y94 on this agenda item and first read of Y95, which is on the next agenda item.
Thank you, Cindy. And after the first read, that gives an opportunity for public
Yes,
to comment
absolutely.
for any additional questions from council. So, any questions for Cindy? Sure. I think we're good. Oh, you have a question? Mark?
No,
Oh.
he's got the motion.
Oh,
I have,
do it,
I
Mark.
have the motion. That's right. Okay. Let me get the motion. Are you suggesting that I do the whole thing?
I can do it,
Okay.
just rather than have you look it up. Your Honor, if there are no more questions, I would call for the first reading of ordinance Y94 and title and summary form only, and subsequent readings be brought to us at subsequent meetings.
Second. Thank you. I have a motion and second for the first reading of ordinance Y94, the 2026 regular and general obligation property tax levy in title and summary form only, and that subsequent readings be deferred until subsequent council meetings. Any final questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Cindy. The first reading of ordinance Y94 passes. And ordinance Y95, this is the EMS levy for 2026. Cindy.
Mayor?
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. It's been a long. Go ahead. Go, please.
It's Y94, an ordinance setting the regular property tax levy for the year 2026 and providing for the effective date hereof.
Thank you, Shelley. Sorry. And Cindy, go ahead. Y95.
Y95, this is the EMS tax levy ordinance. They believe it'll be about 50 cents per 1,000 assessed valuation, and I'm asking for the first read.
Thank you, Cindy. Questions for Cindy, or we do it first reading?
Your Honor, if there are no more questions, I would move for the first reading of ordinance Y95 in title and summary form only, and subsequent readings be brought to us at subsequent meetings. Thank you.
Second. Thank you. I have a motion and a second for the first reading of ordinance Y95, the 2026 EMS levy in title and summary form only, and that subsequent readings be deferred until, or brought before you all in a subsequent city council meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Ayes have it. Shelley.
Ordinance Y95, an ordinance setting the EMS tax levy for the year 2026 and providing for the effective year.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our action items for today. Todd or Cindy, do we have any staff reports? Probably, I don't think.
Oh, right.
G, the shared drive. Gmail. For my report, I just want to say again, I appreciate the department head's diligence in putting these presentations together. It's a lot of work to balance this budget, so I really do appreciate your time and effort on this. Thank you. Council reports, Teresa.
We haven't said anything really about Elm Street, have we? I mean, we've been so busy with stuff, but it looks really nice when I drove down it. I haven't been down it when it's really, busy, but it looks nice. Yeah.
Received a lot of comments.
Yeah, good.
Great project, yeah, for sure.
A lot of pinks.
Paul?
No, just good presentations, great engagement. Much appreciated. Thank you. I'll ditto that as well. And then kudos to Dave. I think he might have had the, take the shelf here because 3 slides plus backups. Well done. So, no, everybody did a great job. Yeah. So, Jackie.
Yeah, fabulous presentations. Thanks for keeping them shorter this year. Also, I wanted to recognize the CMA and the trunk or treat that they put on this last weekend. That was a ton of fun. It's a great community event every year, so thanks for bringing that back. And then remind everybody that Friday is Halloween, so just be driving slow and keeping an eye out for all those little kiddos out there.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Jackie.
I would just ditto to what everyone else said about the presentations, and I look forward to the discussion around them.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, great job, everybody. You guys did a great job with presentations and they're very helpful for us for making those decisions. So thanks so much for everything you're doing. And we appreciate that. And please go vote.
We can talk after I close.
Move to adjourn. Second.
Motion a second. All in favor, say aye. Thank you.
Who wants their stuff to go to Cindy's?
Oh, mine. Is yours fixed now?
Yeah, I just got one.
Oh.